Episode number 5 of Off the Bench is officially underway. We're excited for this episode again. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode today. Malachi, Genade, as well as Kino, Garcia are joining us today representing men's volleyball team here at Culver Stockton. Malachi, a player himself, a 6'1" sophomore out of All Monroe, Missouri. Graduated from St. Dominican High School, freshman here last season, is currently a sophomore with the volleyball team. And Kino Garcia, he is currently the manager for the volleyball guys. He is a senior out of Shorewood, Illinois. Graduated in 2020 from Minooka High School. Played volleyball there for his 4 years and is currently a senior and a student assistant for the volleyball guys here. Kino, Malachi, it's a pleasure having you along. How are you guys feeling today?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having us, Esteban.
Living life, SD, living life.
Go team.
Of course, we'd love to hear it. So, guys, first of all, new season coming up. You guys have already played 5 games, but before we get too into that, last year it was a new coach coming into the program, trying to rebuild everything that's going on. Kino, you had the experience and the chance to be with the previous coach. Malachi, you still weren't here when that was taking place. Kino, in your experience, what has been, in terms of coaching, the biggest positive that you've seen with the new coach coming along for the program?
I'd say the biggest thing is that he really knows his stuff, and he's really set forward on where he wants to build the program. And I think within the years coming, it's gonna really help the program grow and just continue to get better and better every year. It's a slow process. It's not gonna come overnight. We went through the pain of last year, and this year's going better, so we'll just keep that steady incline going.
Already 1 win in the short season so far this time around. Malachi, for you, as we mentioned, a freshman last year, your first season here at Culver Stockton College, how was it getting used to playing at the collegiate level? You played your 4 years at high school. Basically, just talk to us about your experience last season with the guys.
Last season with the guys, it was definitely one to remember. We didn't get the results at all that we wanted, but overall, we learned a lot as players, individuals, and kind of our initial role on the team, because basically we had to come in and we were given our positions, and I played a position that I'd never played before, so it was a big adjustment. Right from the get-go, you have a lot of really talented guys coming at you. When you're starting as a freshman, you're not going to get the results you want, but you get so much information from them.
And the experience is definitely key, especially your freshman year. You can take it into sophomore, junior, senior year, and it's going to be really exciting to see what you can do in those, junior, senior year especially. That senior year should be really something to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make from high school to college level? We know college is definitely tougher. Did it take you some time to get used to it?
It definitely took some time, because now, and I knew going into high school that the mindset would change, but it literally becomes a job when you're here. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but we get paid to play. It's finally, you focus on you get to, instead of club, where you just go once or twice a week and you barely get in an hour and a half of practice, you get to play and you get to have fun. But now we get to really take our time, do all the proper warm-up, stretching, all that stuff. It's really professional compared to high school. It's so much nicer, and there's a depth of the game that you never would have learned in high school. No coach would have ever. There might be a couple really good coaches out there that would take the time to really teach the depth of a game to get them to the next level, but it's so much easier in college.
Especially when you're living in the dorms, because you have the court about 3-minute walk away, and you can go in anytime, any day, get some reps in. Makes it so much more convenient. Last season, as you said, it wasn't your best as a team. Kino, let's start with you on this one. What was your biggest takeaway from last year?
Oh man, biggest takeaway. I'd probably say that we knew coming into the year we had 8 or 9 guys, and I'd say the biggest takeaway is just be patient with it, because we knew it was going to be a struggle going into this conference. Especially they have 6 teams in the top 20 in the country, in our conference alone. So we knew it was going to be a slow grind. And I say that was probably the biggest takeaway, was just be patient with it, and it will come next year. Well, for me, this is my last year, but for the guys underneath us, like, just be patient. You know, it'll come. It'll be our time soon.
Malachi, how about you?
Pretty much what Kino said. It's really frustrating being patient, but that's, as you learn, that's how you grow. You have to grow through the struggles. You can get a really good gold bar by turning the heat up. We're cranking up as much as we can.
Kino, as a manager, you for the team, you saw the game from a different perspective than the players, you know, that are actually in the game usually do. From your perspective, what was the main thing, if you can name one, that the team had to improve the most last year?
From last year to this year?
From just improvement from last year to be able to take it into this year to become a better team.
I'd say the number one thing was confidence. Like, going into last year, they were freshmen, or especially for the freshmen, we had a lot of them. It was they didn't really know what to expect. And being here 2 years previous, you know the level. You've seen some of these best players in the country. And it was like, just, like I said, showing them and like kind of just seeing how like ready they need to be, rather than like hopping right in, think we're going to, you know, run the show. But I'd say, yeah, that's probably it.
We obviously know, being, you know, during my club days, I was part of a losing team. So I know how it feels to be in that environment and the frustration that can come along with it. During last season, did you guys feel any frustration from the team? Were there any big breakouts, anything that just, you know?
Luckily, there were no major breakouts. Like, it was incredibly frustrating. But the good thing was that most, like, if not all of the bad things that came from last year, they're practically all gone. So the amount of skill, confidence, like Kino said, and the overall bugs that were within the team, they're no longer there. And coach is finally able to focus in on the actual craft of the game. And we have guys that want to be there. And obviously it can never really be perfect, but we've grown so much, like organization-wise. This is amazing. This is an amazing start to the year.
As you said, or as we mentioned earlier, a 1-4 record right now. You guys won your first game this past weekend against Central Christian College. You guys had a 3-game tournament this past weekend as well. Kino, can you walk us through those 3 games? You guys picked up 2 losses and a win during that weekend. What was the major takeaways, and just walk us through the 3 games?
I think the major takeaway was just getting rid of the nerves for some of these kids. Like, I say kids because I'm a senior, I'm old, I feel old, but especially for example, like Frank, you could tell he was nervous, but he slowly got out of it. But like I said, same thing with Zach too. He was playing, they're both playing well, but you could see the nerves were honestly there, and like it came as a big shock. You know, our team's pretty small on average. Our average height's probably around 6'1" compared to these teams, so they got a 6'4" average height. Like, and it's shocking to them, and I'd say that's one of the biggest things. You just got to get rid of the nerves, you know, settle in, they just got to remember, just play the game. You know, we've been playing it since we were kids. Just have fun and just go out there and give it your best. Win is a win, loss, you handle it, and you move on to the next one.
Malachi, do you want to add anything to that?
Overall, like the way that I describe like our growth, you could really see it even though we were losing, because we played teams and games go to 25 in all the sets. Well, all the ones that we actually played. But last year we were getting like 12 points, 14 points. Like, a good college game has a score of about 25 to 22. And we were getting as low as our very first set, we had 6 points. 6. And luckily we were able to get to 20 points in almost every set over the weekend. The amount of growth that we've had this year, like fall semester, it's showing, just not in the record. It's a shame, but overall, I'm happy with how we're playing right now.
The most important part is to see the improvement year by year,
Yes.
and that's exactly what we're seeing so far from you guys from last season to this year.
Especially with a young team. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
You guys' first home game isn't until February 23rd.
Yeah.
So I can see by your face the level of like, dang, okay, that's true. Being on the road for so long, how exhausting is it for the team? Malachi, get us started with this.
It can be a little exhausting. Like our last game that we had over at Fontbonne University, there's like and coaches like mentally prepped us for this, where you're gonna get tired when you get off the bus, all that stuff, and it showed because we had like about 15 points in our first set, and then once we started getting going, started actually moving, talking, all that stuff, we got to 20 in every set. So the traveling, it can be a little tasking, but overall, it can be like in our vans, it turned out to be a really fun time.
Talking to you a little bit more about the playing side of things. You're an outside hitter. You mentioned you played a new position here that you hadn't played in high school.
Yeah.
Was it the outside hitter position?
My high school career was, I had only passed like libero until junior year of high school, and then we lost in our quarterfinal match in a tournament, and at that point I decided I can't do this anymore. Because the way that the libero works, you're physically not allowed to score points, really. You're not allowed to attack. And knowing that as a libero, the only thing you can do that's good is keep the other team from scoring, it hurts. Because if you can't score the points yourself for your team, and eventually the other team will score a point, it's soul crushing. So that next season, I turned into a pin, got better at passing and attacking, and I guess it transferred over here well. So I get to play the most envied position. It's an honor.
And I'm assuming you're enjoying it more as well.
Oh yeah, you get to be so much more aggressive. I've shown passion and like athletic anger more than any time I've ever played. It's so much fun.
Kino, from your perspective, as we mentioned, you're currently the manager for the team. How did that role go about? Did you come and took over Stockton with the plan to be the manager? Did you get here and then kind of apply for the position? Talk to us a little bit about how that went.
So story was it was February of right before COVID, and I was at like the big car show in Chicago where I'm from, and I get an email from my high school coach saying, "Hey, this school is looking for a manager to come do work for the team." And I was like, "Well, that's what I do in school, so I might as well, I'll look into it." And I emailed the coach, and then I came here on a visit. And then COVID hit. Came here on a visit, and within not even a month of my visit, I was like, I got nothing else going on for me. Might as well keep it going. I like doing what I'm doing. And it's fun. It's fun being around the guys, having to hang out. And yeah, that's so I came in here expecting it. Didn't know what to expect, though, knowing it's college level. Took on new responsibilities. But I enjoy doing what I do. So it's fun.
Currently and throughout the years with the teams, what are your duties? What are you responsible for?
Well, this year I started playing more this year because it's senior year. So coach gave me the green light to be able to play.
That's a real manager there. We like the
Amen.
Yeah.
He can manage.
Oh my
he can play.
gosh.
He can just do it all. Kino Garcia.
Yeah.
Best float serve on our team, by the way. Best float serve by far.
But some of the responsibilities, though, nothing too crazy. Like, one, make sure everyone's, kind of showing up, helping with drills, helping with, pregame stuff, and then doing team laundry, a couple times a week. Nothing bad. We got the washer dryer in the facilities. But I'd say other than that, it's more of just be there to be supportive more than anything. Because, if I'm not in a good mood, that's rare, first of all, but it's not a fun time if I'm not out there, screwing my head off. If I don't leave the game with half a voice, I failed. So That's one of my biggest responsibilities. I'd say I have.
You mentioned you not being in a good mood. I don't think I've ever witnessed that, Kino. You're
Yeah,
always pretty upbeat,
it's rare.
right? You're pretty happy, always a joyful guy, and we love to see it. If you had to name one thing that you love doing most as a manager and one thing that you just don't really enjoy as much, what would that be?
I'd say the first 3 years would be not being able to like play, if that makes sense. Not even like in a bad way, because like I knew what I was coming into doing this, but at the same time, I was almost like just itching to get back. Freshman year, not so much, because I have a bad knee, so that's why I was not really looking forward to it. But then sophomore year, I started like getting back into it, and I was like, all right, I kind of want to play again. And so that's why I was like, that probably was the hardest part, just not being able to go out there and play when I know I could have possibly had a small impact. Not saying I'm going to go out there and get, 15, 20 kills a game, but I'll, just have fun, lift the spirit up on the court. But I'd say that was probably the most difficult part of my first 3 years here.
Thankfully, you're getting to do that this season. I'm excited to see you on the court. I'm excited to see the energy levels from the team as well.
It'll be fun.
Should be pretty fun. Do you have to get to practices earlier, like before the players, before the coach, to help set things up, or how does that go?
I used to a lot more for like freshman, sophomore year. I would show up usually around 25, 30 minutes before everyone, get everything set up. But with new coach Lipton, he kind of was like, you're here to help. Like, you don't got to do everything, which I was grateful for, like I would still get there 20 minutes early and he already has the net set up. And it's like, it takes a big lift off me, because putting that net up, especially when he wants 2 nets up on your own, it's not fun. It'll take some time. But I'd say that was one of like the big things where I was kind of like, all right, this is all right.
I know both of you and pretty much the entire team, really, you guys are a big fan of your coach. Is there a message you guys want to send him right now? Malachi, we'll start with you.
Coach, you've taught me so much about the game. I really appreciate it. All the advice, all the messages on and off the court you give. You're very dedicated to this team, and I cannot be more grateful for that.
Kino?
Biggest thing is thank you,
Yes.
Yes. After seeing what we've gone through and as a program and seeing how dedicated and committed you are to growing it, I feel it's a great honor, and I couldn't be happier to be a part of it, especially knowing that we were here at the start of it, and can't wait after this year to come back and see where it's at in a couple of years. Well, even next year too. Just each year is going to be an increase for them, and just thankful and grateful for it.
And on that high note, we'll end this episode off. Malachi, Kino, it's been a pleasure having you along. We've really enjoyed talking with you. We wish you guys all the best this upcoming season, and I'm excited to be at your games, call some of your games as well, and just go Wildcats. Welcome back, everyone, for our second segment here tonight. We are joined by Milliana Mozee-Williams, a freshman here at Culver Stockton, part of the women's basketball team here at Culver. And we're really excited to get her thoughts as she'll share her experience. As yesterday, the ladies were able to go and face the number 5 ranked in the nation of Clarke University. And it was a really, really good game, really close the entire way around. Culver Stockton was leading pretty much the whole game. They took them to overtime, and there Culver Stockton was not able to pick up the win. Clarke showed themselves off. They ended the game with a 3-point lead. But either way, against the number 5 team in the nation, it was a great accomplishment for the ladies. Milliana, welcome to the episode. We're really excited to have you here. How are you feeling right now?
I mean, I'm a little nervous, but I don't know. I don't like talking in public.
No worries. We'll take care of that quickly. So you guys faced number 5 in the nation, Clarke, yesterday. As I said, a really close game. The final score was 73-7 in favor of Clarke. As a freshman, What was what was it for you playing in that game? What was your experience? How did it feel?
It's a little nerve-wracking because when we first played them, they beat us by a lot, and then I wasn't playing very much, and I just came off the bench. But then in as a starter, the game's just different. But it was more of getting me ready and saying, "You got this." And I went up against one of a really good post player, and credit to her, she's very good. But going up against her and trying to stop her and play against her, that was a little nerve-wracking at first, but once I started getting going, the game just kind of fell in my hands, and then I had the first few points, and then I just kept going, and I just played.
Yeah, you were off to a really good start. You had the first 6 points for Culver Stockton, and you guys went on an 8-0 run to begin the game. It was really exciting to watch you guys play. So in terms of preparing for Clarke, what was the preparation like knowing you were going to face a really tough team?
We've had back-to-back games, and we haven't had a break until today. And we've been preparing for this all season to play against hard teams like this. And each team we go against it gets harder and harder. But going up against Clarke and then giving ourselves a chance in the very beginning of the game, setting the tone of the game, it just gave us a chance to try and beat the number 5 in the nation. And we came out there, we played our best. That was the best we played all year, I feel like. And then myself, I came out and I just I was like, I have nothing to lose. So then I just went out there and I just started throwing up stuff, and it went in, and done my thing with rebounding. I rebounded as much as I could, and then that's when they started actually playing on me, realizing that I can play. So
the first quarter, you guys won it 15-7. When the second quarter came around, Clarke won that one by 3, 17-14. Second half, third quarter, you guys won again, 23-19. And then at the end of the game, the fourth quarter, Clarke was able to win 20-11 and just tie the game up. What was the feeling like from a team's perspective of you guys being up the entire game? Were you guys at all surprised? Did you seem like, wow, we can actually compete? Or did you guys already know and, it was just what you were expecting?
We just played our game. I didn't really pay attention to the score myself, but I was nervous because I was wiping my hands and I was getting nervous. I could feel it. But all the upperclassmen, they were just trying to calm everybody down and talk to us, tell us what we're doing wrong, what we need to fix, and credit to them to keeping the team together as a whole throughout the whole game. And I just thought they did a very well job of keeping us in the game and telling us how we can fix things, what we can improve, and I'd give all that credit to them, and I think they've done a great job, and that's why we kept up in the game the whole time.
We've seen you guys play a tremendous game. It's been a good season, and through the first 3 quarters, throughout the entire season, it's been great. We've seen a little bit of a downfall usually late in the games, especially in the fourth quarter. We saw that against Mid-Am here at home. We saw against CMU, and we saw it yesterday against Clarke. What is the biggest difference for you guys in terms of first 3 quarters and the last one?
I feel like we just didn't get in our head, and once we're out of our heads and we're all just playing the game, I think we all just do very well at just doing what we do best, and that's just going for on a run, and then just getting rebounds, shooting, and then making a play. And Coach always says, slow everything down, and when we do that, we're able to score, and we do all that very well. And then with our defense, we're told to get a stop, and we went 3 stops in a row, and that's what we do. And I think we do very well if we're playing right.
You guys had really good stops yesterday, forcing Clarke to over 20 turnovers, and that's not an easy thing to do with a red-hot offense like theirs. During the game, was there ever any point that at least you personally thought, like, wow, this game is over, we're going to win it? Was there like an overconfidence at any given time during the game?
When we scored the first 8 points of the game, I was surprised at first, and I was like, well, they're number 5, but we were better than what we played them last time. And then first 8 points of the game came around. I had 6 of those, and I was like, we're gonna win this. And then they kind of came back out at us, but it was expected because you can't just you can't blow out a number 5 team if you're ranked very low below them. But it doesn't really matter because as long as we're coming out, we're playing as a team, and we all stick together, I feel like we do very well.
Are there any plays that you wish you could take back from a personal standpoint, from a team standpoint, if you're like, I wish I could go back to that moment to fix that play, to hit this shot so it could go differently?
I think it was in the third quarter when I went up against that post, and credit to her, she's very good. And she bodied me, and I missed the shot. I should have just kicked it back out, but I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes on the court, and it's just a natural thing to happen. So I can't really take it back, so I don't really regret it. So
in the last timeout during regulation time, you guys were tied up. You had a timeout. You were going to get possession of the ball. If you guys scored and wind down the clock, the game would have been over. During that timeout, what was the message said by Coach Bergen?
I honestly don't remember. When she's saying stuff like that, like when we're in the circle, and then I start thinking out loud, like thinking to myself, and I'm like getting all nervous and everything, and I pick out little bitty things what she says to like do, because I can't remember everything that she says, and I'll pick out the most important things. But she's always telling us that we got this, and she's hyping us up on rebounds and going after 50-50 balls, and credit to her for telling us and coaching us very well and telling us to slow down and just to play our game and let us set the tone. And she does very well of doing that, especially when we're in the circle, and then drawing up a play, and when we run that play correctly, we score, and she does that very well when we're in the circle.
From Clarke's perspective, what do you think they did better in the third and fourth quarter to kind of narrow the gap down for you guys?
I mean, we stopped them on the inside, and I think they just done very well at shooting their threes, getting it out to one of their shooters, and then just throwing it up, and then getting everybody in there to rebound. They done that very well in the second half. And in the first half, we had stopped them from doing that because we realized we need to post it up, and that's what we did. But coming out in the second half of the game, they just kind of started realizing what we were doing. They were trying to find gaps in our defense and then try and score, get it out to a shooter, score. And they couldn't really get it inside because we have a pretty good defense, but they just kind of had to jack up some shots and try and score against us.
I know you talked about the nerves that you had going into the game and during the game. Do you think your teammates, the majority of them, were nervous as well, especially when you guys went into overtime?
I mean, if they weren't nervous, then they're crazy, because that was very nerve-wracking, and I felt like I was about to puke because I was getting so nervous and I was getting anxious, and I was shaking my leg and I couldn't sit still, and I just wanted to get up and move around. But I feel like everybody on the team was getting nervous because we're about to beat the number 5 in the nation, and then we're all hyping up, and credit to the bench because they're always hyping us up and yelling defense and everything, and they're always telling us what to do on the court, and they're very good at that, and just telling us to calm down, relax, and all that.
I've been putting you on the spot all night, and I'll do it once more. You guys might face Clarke in the playoffs. We might see a rematch. Carrying, not necessarily the weight, but speaking from your team's perspective and from your team as a whole, is there a message you want to send over to Clarke?
We're going to come out and we're going to beat you next time because you came up against us. You thought that we were just going to suck, and then we came out at you, and we told you who we are. And once we're playing well, you can't stop us. And I just wanted to say that we're one of the better teams, and once we get going and once we're doing what we're supposed to do, listening to the coach, and we're hustling and everything, we're going to win, and they need to watch out for us.
And we're very excited to see the rematch. Hopefully it takes place in the playoffs. Culver-Stockton, hopefully with a big win. Milliana, it's been a pleasure having you along. Thank you so much for joining us. We wish you best of luck during the rest of the season.